Welcome to the Grand Temple of Enki. My name is Max. I am the Temple Ipsissimus. I am an oracle and channeler of Enki, the Anunnaki, and the Egyptian gods and goddesses. In this video, I'm going to be explaining autism from a spiritual point of view. So, autism. There are various forms of autism. It is a spectrum, and we see autism very differently than various mainstream sources. And autism can be caused by various things. But ultimately, autism has increased, especially in America, in the last 50 years by a landslide. It has definitely increased in numbers that are scary to most people. But after this video, I hope you gain the perspective you need to not only navigate autism if you are on the spectrum, but to see yourself from a different point of view if you are on the spectrum, and possibly see those that are around you that are on the spectrum in a different light, to better understand them and yourself. So what I've gathered from Enki, as well as the Anunnaki, is that autism, people that have autism, people that are on the spectrum, are on this planet channeling a extraterrestrial consciousness. And this can make them seem a little dissociated, animated even. And they tend to have a presence. People that are on the spectrum tend to have a presence that's a little more cerebral, very observant, very analytical. And this has a lot to do with the higher chakra activity. There is a lot of water energy. There's a lot of sensitivities that neurotypical people usually aren't subjected to. So there is a heightened awareness in most cases. And there are certain things that neurospicy people and people on the spectrum sense more. And this is mainly because of the excess higher chakra activity. And individuals that are more neurotypical don't have the same higher chakra activity. So even if you're not on the spectrum, even if you're not necessarily neurodivergent, because you have higher chakra activity, you may even come off that way. But I'm here to tell you the truth. There are two types of consciousness that are very dominant on our planet. There's water and there's fire. People that are on the spectrum typically have a lot of water energy, right? They have a water energy that's coming down. This makes them very cerebral. And when you're cerebral, you're not really connected to your primal nature. You're not connected to your animal nature. You're kind of descending into this world as a foreign consciousness. So you're kind of like, you'll feel almost like a stranger. You're here to question things. You're here to make sense of things. So people that are on the spectrum are here to bring in a polarity to help balance out the collective. And this may confuse a lot of people. This may confuse a lot of people because we're so used to living a certain way and seeing things in a certain way that we actually need the complete opposite to really shake us up and make us question things, right? If we're still kind of relatable to the neurotypical people, then it's going to be hard to evolve. So while the neurotypical people are more fire, right? Industrial action, right? Like it's very much focused on creating new life, preserving life, building life. Whereas neurodivergent people on the spectrum, and again, I'm not saying they're the same people, but it's in the same energy bandwidths, same chakra centers. These are the people that are here to reflect on what humanity has built and to innovate, to exercise critical thinking. And this can cause certain people that are on the spectrum, that are neurodivergent, to come off a little more disconnected from the rest of the human population, because there is a fundamental difference in the mental templates and even the energy templates that are being run in the aura. But simply put, we have the microcosmic orbit. And the microcosmic orbit consists of the orbit that channels the fire and water. So we have the waters from the heavens pouring downwards, and we have the fire rising from the base of the spine upwards. And this creates a genius, a super soul, a master of reality, a master of light and darkness. So when we're here on earth experiencing life without spiritual mastery, we're kind of harmonizing polarity. We go from water to fire, and we're balancing out the yin and yang until we find ourselves in the middle. So back in the day, not too recently in fact, around 100 years ago, we were very industrial and we were too fiery. We had too much fire. And we can see this clash in polarities even today on our political front, right? You have the Republicans that are super, red. Again, it's red for the red fire. And we have the blue, which is more neurodivergent, people that tend to be a little more on the spectrum. Because one is more right brain, the other one is much more left brain, right? Conservative, liberal, right? And these parties, these concepts, these groups that we've created have been based on these two fundamental spheres in our consciousness. But the truth lies in the middle, right? We can't just take the blue pill or the red pill. We have to create the purple pill. We have to see the truth for what it is. And the truth is, autism is just a condition that humans gave to people that they don't necessarily understand. So technically, it doesn't actually exist because in the end, it's just a different consciousness expressing itself from the human psyche in order to balance itself out. So a powerful practice to incorporate during these times of great change, great duality, and diversity is to find balance. And how do we do that? We do the microcosmic orbit, right? Especially if you're on the spectrum. If you're on the spectrum or if you're neurodivergent, you have a lot of that water energy coming down, right? And this can make you feel lonely in the world. This can make you feel depressed. It can make you have seasonal depression. And it can make you feel like the world is collapsing on you because there's no active energy lifting you up. So what you got to do is, as a person that's neurodivergent, that may be on the spectrum, you because your energy is flowing down effortlessly, you're seeing from those watery lenses, you have the lens to see stuff, to observe things, to analyze things, and most people can't. You have to activate the opposite polarity. You have to visualize a red fire at your root chakra or at your perineum, and you bring that red fire to your lower dantian or simply below your navel. This will activate your primal fire and it will attune your nervous system to the opposite polarity. So you'll start to tap into more your primal nature. Because a lot of people that are on the spectrum don't usually have much instinctual intelligence. There's intuitive intelligence, there's different types of intelligence, but in instinctual intelligence, your animal intelligence, right? That really comes from the red fire. That comes from your lower centers. So activating that red fire, activating that serpent fire allows you to tap into your primal side. And then we activate the lower dantian with this red flame. We warm it up, which is below the navel, around the belly button area. And that will naturally activate your nerve endings down there that connect through your entire body to this energy that's been dormant, right? So if you felt like you were very much living life from above, kind of separate from society and the people around you, uh, now you'll be able to kind of relate a little more the more you tap into this energy, because you're tapping into the same template other people are on if you're, on the spectrum, or if you're neurodivergent. And as you warm the lower dantian up, you want that energy to go up your spine, okay? Because the waters, which is the blue energy is always going down. It's flowing downwards, but we need that red fire to go up, okay? And when that red fire goes up, the blue comes down. And eventually you'll feel this hot and cold create like a warmth in you. It'll be soothing because you have the waters flowing down, and also be uh, warming. It'll be heating you up at the same time, and it'll just be very cozy. You'll feel much more balanced, much more conscious, much more self-aware in ways you were not before. And this can go for also neurotypical people. If you are neurotypical, you have much more red energy, right? You're much more connected to your instinctual nature, your animal nature. And when we connect to the blue energy, when we raise the red fire and then bring down the blue energy, we're bringing in that smooth energy from the brain, that energy that kind of calms us down, right? It's bringing in more ease into your being, and with that ease, you gain a slight sense of detachment, which is where a lot of neurodivergent people tend to be, and also people on the spectrum tend to be as well. So you'll be a little more, not detached but unattached. You'll be a little more unattached. Things won't bother you as much, and you'll have the mental capacity to basically control the fire, right? Because if your animal nature is not tamed, then you're kind of out of control, right? You're just pure force going aimlessly, and that's created a lot of misfortunes in human history. So we want to balance out the cerebral energy, the excessive mental, intellectual energy, the observant, analytical energy, which is where a lot of the people on spectrum are, with the instinctual fire. We want to balance out these two spheres so that we become like a master of duality, right? So red fire goes up from the base of the spine, right? You're becoming the alpha, and then the divine grace, the observer, the waters come down, omega, right? Fire going up, water coming down. And the more you do this, the more powerful you'll feel. You'll feel more intact. I personally grew up not necessarily on the spectrum, but I had a lot of higher chakra activity. And at times, the people around me, because they were so not in their higher chakras, they were very much in their lower chakras, I literally felt like I was in a dog cage. I literally felt like I was always being picked on by like barbarians. And not everyone's like that. That's just the environment I grew up in. The environment I grew up in was pretty harsh, and I was very neurodivergent for where I was at. And it definitely made me question why I was the way I was, why I was so different. And it's because I had more water energy, while the people around me had more fire energy, more active energy. I had more seasonal depression, and other people just seemed like nothing ever affected them. So when I got to practice the microcosmic orbit, and when I got to reconnect with my red fire, my life changed instantly. I don't get seasonal depression anymore, and I feel very much intact. I feel like I'm a bridge for both polarities, and I embody a very human consciousness as well as a very extraterrestrial consciousness as well. So it's a good balance to maintain if you're looking to expand yourself as a person, to really master yourself. And eventually, you do access a very paranormal level of peace and purpose. So if you don't know if you're neurotypical or neurodivergent, or if you're even on spectrum, here are a few things you can notice if you are neurodivergent or on the spectrum, is that you're very observant. You take most things very literally. You can't really pick up on sarcasm that well, and you're really particular. You're typically very clean. Most people I know that are, on the spectrum tend to be very clean. And you'll be into things, skills, talents, hobbies that most people aren't into. You'll tend to have more emotional energy. You'll have more emotions, big emotions. So other people may come off as bullies, even though like they're treating you as an equal and just joking around with you. So those are some ways you can tell if you're, neurospicy or on the spectrum a bit. And if you're neurotypical, obviously, you're clearly not any of those things. Um, you'll typically find other people's emotions a burden, and you won't overthink as much. Like if you're neurotypical, I'm sure you've come across people that you think that they think too much or talk too much. Like that's a good sign that you're most likely neurotypical, because you don't like being as analytical. You like being more in the moment, right? You like just living. It's like you're not here to be a critic for life. You're not here to question life as much. You just want to live it. You just want to have fun. You're just looking for pleasure, and that's completely okay. That's just your polarity. And you'll be a little more sarcastic, a little more of a trickster, joker, It's like you'll have a sense of humor. You'll have more instincts. A lot of people that are on the spectrum or neurodivergent can't really pick up on as many social cues or nonverbal cues. So you might have more unspoken, nonverbal lingo. Basically, more instinctual intelligence and more instinctual awareness. You're more connected to your animal nature. That's probably a good, summary of at least how I see them. So yes, practice the microcosmic orbit. It will balance you out. It will balance out the hemispheres of your brain. It'll balance out your polarities, and you'll come to a more integrated awareness on both sides. Whether you have autism, or if you're just, neurotypical. Either way, you're going to balance it out and see from a more unified playing field. But besides that, there are other reasons for autism as well. And sometimes it's not so mystical. Sometimes it's toxicity in the body. Heavy metals, uh, toxins, and forever chemicals, but mainly heavy metals. Heavy metals just pollution the body. These things can also cause autism. But from my research and seeing a bunch of parents online, put their children on parasite detox and heavy metal detox, they've basically cured their children from autism, at least toxin induced autism. If you're born with it, you may just be channeling a higher consciousness. It may be there for a reason. But at the same time, there are those that have been, poisoned by heavy metals and chemicals since the womb. So there are ways to clear it out. But then again, doing the microcosmic orbit, red fire up your spine, the waters flowing down from the front channel, um, those are things that will really help. Those are things that will rehabilitate you from a place of severe polarity and separation into a more unified state. So that's all I have to say about the spiritual perspective on autism. This is my gnosis from Enki and the spirits. So that's all I have to say. Your questions and feedback are always appreciated. You may leave them in the comment section below. And if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time.